Hey, welcome to Hooper's Radar. Gonzaga just pulled off a crazy comeback win against UCLA in the best month for basketball in the year, March Madness. Let's talk about it. Coming into this game, we all knew it was going to be a very anticipated matchup with one of the best forwards in the NCAA on Gonzaga's team being Timme, and them also having one of the best guards in Julian Strawther, and then UCLA having Amari Bailey, who a lot of us know, and having one of the best scoring forwards too in Jaime Jaquez Jr. So we all knew this was going to be a very anticipated matchup for sure, and it definitely lived up to the hype. This game began with even scoring between both teams. They just kept getting buckets on each other back and forth, and it seemed like nobody was going to take the lead anytime soon. But let me just tell you, Timme basically had all of the points for Gonzaga in the first 10 minutes of this game. Gonzaga kept feeding him with a bunch of post touches, and he just kept taking the big man one-on-one, and UCLA would not double team him at all. I swear, this guy, Timme, kept hitting every touch in the post he got. Like, he was super efficient with it. He was not missing around the rim. His rim touch was just perfect, and no big was seeming to get a piece of it. His footwork was just getting through all of his defenders that he was guarding, that were guarding him in the post, and he was getting to a spot and hitting his little post hook or little finesse layup in the paint. Matter of fact, I believe Timme already had like 10 points within the first 5 minutes of the game. It just seemed like this was going to be the offense for the Zags for most of the game because they weren't doing really anything outside of feeding Timme in the post. And at the pace that he was going at, not missing any shots and already being in double figures when the game had already basically started, it seemed like Timme was going to set a record and go for 50 points. One thing I want to point out is that Julian Strawther, who I believe is Gonzaga's second leading scorer, wasn't being very aggressive at the beginning, was just kind of letting Timme do all the work, which is perfectly fine because Timme was not missing a shot. But later in the game, he started taking more shots, and he was a little bit inefficient, but he would end up being a big piece of winning this game. Just like Timme for UCLA, Jaime Jaquez was getting a lot of shots in early on as well, and as their leading scorer, he was definitely cementing himself in the game very early on and played well throughout this entire game. Eventually, the offensive game for Gonzaga would end up slowing down a bit, and UCLA would definitely put their foot on the gas and take over this game, taking a big lead over the Zags, which I believe was a double-digit lead within the last 5 minutes of the first half going into the second half. And it seemed like UCLA was for the most part looking to win this game and had the big lead until Gonzaga ended up making a huge comeback. This comeback was fueled by Gonzaga completely locking in on the defensive end and holding UCLA to scoreless possessions, as well as holding Jaime Jaquez Jr. to scoreless possessions. This Gonzaga team was also able to force some turnovers on UCLA and get some fast break points, but I want to give a big shout out to Malachi Smith, who was a great spark off the bench. His offensive production off that bench was a big part of why Gonzaga came back in this game, and I just wanted to give him some props. Once Gonzaga got the lead, thanks to their flawless defense, they didn't really run away with the lead. They basically kept the game within 4 for most of the time that was left in the game, and UCLA kept fighting back to get back into the game thanks to Jaime Jaquez Jr. and Amari Bailey, who hit big shots down the stretch. I mean, Jaime Jaquez Jr. had 2-and-1s within the last 2 minutes of the game, trying and fighting to get UCLA back into the game, which he almost did. I believe they were down by 2. And then Timme was getting some great post touches in there, and the guard play on Gonzaga's end was being very secure with the ball, more secure than the first half where they had double-digit turnovers in comparison to the second half where they had single-digit turnovers. So the second half was definitely way better for Gonzaga, and they were taking care of the ball for the most part in that in those last couple minutes of the game. And then out of nowhere, UCLA starts making some stretches to come back into the game, and they're within 2. They were never within 1, but they were definitely within 2. And then Amari Bailey gets an open 3 from one of UCLA's guards and hits the 3. And all of a sudden, Gonzaga loses the lead with 20 seconds left. And the game just becomes insane. Everybody thinks UCLA is probably going to pull away with a win. And then comes down Gonzaga's guards. I don't remember who their point guard's name is. It could be Bolton, I don't know. But one of their I believe it's Malachi. I think Malachi Smith might have been the one who came down with the ball. And he just turns around. There's a little hot potato pass to Julian Strawther. Julian Strawther pulls a 3 with 13. They had 13 seconds left. They could look for a way better shot or bring it down. But he just does his little hot potato, here you go, pass to Julian Strawther. Julian Strawther pulls a 3 from the logo and hits it. And that's the game right there. Gonzaga takes back the lead, I believe, by 2 now. and Gonzaga ends up winning the game. UCLA doesn't end up doing anything after that. They weren't really able to make anything more out of the possession that they had because there was few time left. And Gonzaga just pulls away with the win thanks to Julian Strawther hitting a crazy three from the logo. I wouldn't consider it a great shot, but I believe Julian Strawther was feeling the moment and he thought, like, he's him. And he pulled that shot and, he saved Drew Timme's amazing performance. If Drew Timme would have had that performance just for Gonzaga to lose, imagine. Like, Julian Strawther really sealed that game for Gonzaga. And props to him, man. He hit the clutchest shot down the stretch. That gave me, like, Jalen Sugg game winner vibes, but it wasn't a buzzer beater though. But it was a great shot. Shout out to Julian Strawther. This was just an amazing game, and he sealed it for Gonzaga to move on to the Elite Eight. Overall, this was one of the funnest college basketball games I've ever watched. Shout out to Amari Bailey, Jaime Jaquez Jr., Drew Timme, Julian Strawther, Malachi Smith for the amazing performances those guys had that made this game so much fun. I hope you all enjoyed. If you guys want me to make more college basketball videos like this, please let me know in the comments. With that said, please make sure to like and subscribe to stay on the radar for all things basketball.